Okay, let's dig into this. What if, and this is quite something, what if one of the biggest animals on the planet is also, like, one of our best climate allies?
It's a fascinating idea, isn't it?
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive today into this really amazing natural connection.
That's right. We're looking at how whales, maybe unexpectedly, play this huge role in managing carbon, both in the atmosphere and, in the oceans.
And we're drawing on some pretty interesting sources here.
Yeah, including, quite surprisingly, research from economists over at the IMF, the International Monetary Fund.
Right, so our mission today is to really get our heads around how these incredible creatures act as, well, some people are calling them climate engineers.
Climate engineers, yeah. And also really effective carbon sequesters.
So what does that actually mean for us, for the planet? Let's unpack it.
Well, the carbon sequestration part is maybe the most direct thing. It's actually pretty amazing.
How so?
When a large whale dies, naturally its body eventually sinks, right down to the deep ocean floor. And that process, that sinking, effectively takes, on average, about 30 tons of carbon dioxide out of the cycle.
30 tons. Just locked away.
Locked away. Down there for centuries. It's removed from the atmosphere for a very, very long time.
Wow. 30 tons. I mean, to put that in perspective, you think about a tree, right?
Yeah.
An average tree might absorb, what, maybe 48 pounds of CO2 a year?
Something like that, yeah. It's a tiny fraction.
So one whale, just by dying naturally, is doing the work of, well, thousands of trees over their whole lives, essentially.
Exactly. It's a scale that's kind of hard to comprehend sometimes.
Mind-blowing, really.
It is. But, it's not just about what happens when they die. That's maybe the end point.
Okay.
They're actively involved in sequestering carbon while they're alive, too, through their daily lives.
How does that work?
So they dive deep to feed, right? Then they come up to the surface to breathe.
Okay.
And when they surface, they often release these nutrient-rich plumes, waste, essentially.
Oh, okay. Like fertilizer.
Exactly like fertilizer. Near the surface, scientists call it the whale pump.
The whale pump. I
Yeah.
like that. So this fertilizer, it helps the tiny plants in the ocean, the phytoplankton.
Precisely. Phytoplankton are, well, they're like the grass of the sea, but they're hugely important carbon sinks.
Right. They absorb massive amounts of CO2 and produce oxygen too, don't they?
Over half the oxygen we breathe comes from them, and they soak up CO2 through photosynthesis, just like forests.
So the whales, by bringing up these nutrients from the deep,
They're basically feeding the phytoplankton blooms, making them bigger, more productive.
so they're not just living there, they're actively kind of farming the ocean for carbon capture.
Yeah.
That's why they call them engineers.
That's exactly the idea. They engineer the ecosystem to be more efficient at drawing down carbon. It's an active, ongoing process.
That's incredible. And then there's the economic side you mentioned, the IMF.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting from a different angle. Economists, who you normally think about, GDP and finance.
Right, not usually whale biology.
Exactly. But back in 2019, they actually tried to put a dollar value on these services.
On what the whales do for the ecosystem.
Yes. They estimated that the value provided by each great whale just through these natural processes is over $2 million US.
Wow, over $2 million per whale.
Per whale. It really signals the shift, doesn't it? Seeing nature not just as something nice to have, but as, like, a fundamental economic asset.
A $2 million climate asset swimming around, that really changes how you think about conservation.
It totally does. And it leads to this next thought. If they're that valuable, ecologically and economically.
Why aren't we protecting them more?
Yeah.
Or even helping their populations recover?
Exactly. The IMF economist actually suggested just that. Based on their valuation, they proposed thinking about a global program.
A program to do what?
To restore whale populations back to the levels they were before large-scale whaling decimated them, using economic incentives.
So investing in whale recovery as a climate solution.
As a direct nature-based solution to climate change. That's the term they used.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just recap that. Whales are these incredible sort of dual-action climate heroes.
Right.
When they die, they lock away, 30 tons of CO2 for centuries.
Yep, about 30 tons on average.
And while they're alive, they're actively boosting the ocean's ability to capture carbon, acting as ecosystem engineers.
Services that economists have valued at over $2 million per whale.
It really drives home the idea of investing in nature, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. A global whale restoration effort isn't just about saving a species. It's presented as a serious, data-backed climate strategy. It shows how...
almost hidden value we found in whales, what else is out there? What other parts of the natural world, things we might see as totally separate, could actually hold keys to solving huge problems like climate change?
Yeah, what other natural solutions are we overlooking just because we haven't quite understood their full value yet?
Something to think about. What are we missing?